What's up YouTube? My name is Uncle Smokey and this is Uncle Smokey Stock Trades. Before I start this video, I would like to say I am not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. So please take what I say with a grain of salt and do your own DD. Today we're going to talk about ticker symbol MMAT, Meta Materials Inc. We're going to go over the TA, we're going to break down the options chain, we're going to look at Ortex and Fintel, and of course I've got some dark pool data for you, and at the end of the video we're going to take a look at my prediction. Let's go ahead and break into the TA. So today we opened up at $4.96, which was extremely high. And then we shot straight up to $5 and almost 80 cents. $5.79 is where it capped out. We'll call it a bounce at $5.80. And then we immediately started to correct, almost corrected all the way down to the morning open, bounced, shot up a little bit again, and then right down. I mean, almost downward pressure all day long up until we got to this point down here. And I want to explain a little bit about all of this price action today. So, as I always say, we don't want to see a whole lot of parabolic movement, and this is the exact reason why. Now, a lot of people are going to say, but Uncle Smokey, you said it'll only retrace so far. This retraced like 140%. Well, no, it really didn't. What it did was it retraced back to yesterday. Okay, that's all it did. It came back to a level that it was stable at yesterday, right back in here, and caught itself. It had nothing to catch itself with except for back here, okay? All of this up here was absolutely insane movement. Imagine throwing a ball up a flight of stairs and bouncing it off the wall. The first bounce off that wall, it's going to come down a significant amount. It's going to bounce back up, and then it's going to come down again hard because it just skipped a whole bunch of steps. And then it might bounce and come down a little bit, and then eventually just stable out on the landing. That's exactly what you got there. That's all it was. We threw a ball really hard up the steps, and it just bounced its way right back down to us. Now, with that being said, we still finished up 7% on the day. And we had 82 million in volume today? 82.5 million in volume today. Now, over the first half of that was right here in the first hour. This is the 5-minute chart, okay? So each one of these represents 5 minutes. You've got 41 million almost in volume right here, okay? Now, the rest of the volume carried out through the day in shorting. And over half of our volume today, over half, was done on the dark pools. In fact, there it is. Dark pool data, almost 45 million. Insane. We'll scroll down here. This is, from what I've gathered, this is the volume by exchange chart. So this tells you up here all the different colors on what exchanges everything was traded on. And look at this dark pool data. This is over the course of the last several days. We'll call it almost a month, 2 months. Yeah, 2 months. Okay. So you'll see that when the spikes in the price went up, dark pool data went up drastically. Every single time. Even though these were small spikes, dark pool data went up big time. And now we're seeing this big spike, and look at where the dark pool data went. Holy crap. Yeah, it's a little bit unfair not being able to see these kind of numbers and what's happening with them. We don't know whether they're going up, going down. We don't know if it's buying, it's selling. We don't know if they're just buying shares and then shorting them right into the market, which, yeah, we know that's exactly what they did today. Okay? But they did it because it's easy. Whenever you get parabolic movement, it's very easy for the hedge funds to grab a hold of it at the top and just yank it down. You know, there's a saying in the market, up like stairs, down like an elevator. You go up slow and down fast. And that's why, let's get back to the chart. That's why I always say you need to take the after hours and pre-market stuff with a grain of salt. Ultimately, what I would have loved to have seen was I would have loved to have seen it top here and then retrace back down into this range. If it would have retraced back down to this range, we probably would have stair-stepped up and up and put us more in that $5 range we were looking for. Instead of going all the way to 580 and then crashing back down to 445 is basically where we ended at. I know we ended at 442. Call it 440 then. But you'll also notice that the only time we were overbought today on the 5-minute chart was right here. Here, let's go back to the 1-minute chart. Even though RSI is a little bit better on the 5-minute, I'm pretty sure this will confirm it. Yep, it does. It absolutely does. It confirms it. We were only really overbought right there. However, we were oversold a number of times down here. You could consider these touch points, and I guess you can consider this and this a touch point as far as being overbought. But all of these points are all oversold. And here, we gotta scroll the chart down for you to see all that. There you go. All of this is oversold down in here. Okay, you'll notice there was the convergence. All right, and it didn't like it. It rejected it, and then finally just slowly kind of consolidated through the rest of the day. And this is what we wanted. So I'm very happy that we still ended up 7% on the day. The movement that we saw in the after hours wasn't totally for nothing. We still had a green positive day. So nothing wrong. No harm, no foul. I hope a lot of people who had call options that were in the $5 range cashed out today. I know I did. I sold all of my call options for Meta right up in here. And then I bought them all back right down here, plus some. Just because that's kind of how you want to do it. Once you started getting down here and you saw the volatility, well, I should say, no, I'm sorry, down here. Once the volatility started coming down, the options became cheaper. But what I did is I did what you call rolling them. I sold them here and I bought them here, but I bought them all the way out in January. Okay, so I bought a lot more options. I'm sitting on 35 options at different price levels, all the way out in January. So that's a great way to be able to make more money to be able to put it into Meta. Also, you'll notice I did buy some more Meta today. I got 200 more shares, dollar cost average down to 514. Bought it right here. Yep, all the way out here. I was waiting for a couple of plays to play out today, and they did, so I was able to take some profits and put it into Meta. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the options chain since we've covered everything I wanted to cover in here. Wow. 114,936 calls. Let's round up. 115,000 calls. Today, IV, it only went up to 205%. Now, yeah, that's extremely high. We would like to see it lower, but not really. Not at this point. So when the volatility of the stock goes up itself, the implied volatility of the options chain will naturally go up to coincide with it. At one point in time, I think this thing was up at like 3 or 4 or 500%, something like that today. And that was back when it was running up to 580. And that's when I sold my options. So when you want to, if you want to know when to make a good call on selling your options, of course, you can only make this decision for you. Look for when the volatility goes up. And when it starts to creep down, if that's when you think is a good time to get out, that's a good time to get out. Okay? Always rely on yourself, your own instincts, your own gut. Don't listen to anybody else on what they tell you because they may be wrong. Only you can make a decision on your money. So, yeah, like I said, great day as far as it goes to the options chain. We'll call it 92%-ish calls, which would leave it 8 to 10% puts, totaling 129,000 calls today, or options traded today, rather, sorry. Awesome. That's all I can say. Awesome. You don't get much more bullish than this. You're up here with the AMC call volume, not now, but early in the AMC battle. That's the volume they were seeing in their calls. And I would expect to start seeing that a lot more, okay? Because, again, it was still a green day. And that's what people are looking at. Not what happened throughout the trading period, but the fact that we still ended green is fantastic. All right. So we did the options chain. Let's move over to the dark pool data. Again, we're here. I'm going to scroll down so you guys can see this. I haven't fully dissected all of this, one thing at a time. And here's this. You guys feel free to just take snapshots, whatever it is. That's nothing. Okay. Ortex. So, obviously, I updated everybody on this data this morning. Let's hit refresh. Let's see if it does anything for us. Not really. Okay, so I updated everybody on this information this morning. Of course, your utilization did go up. They haven't covered, and I still don't think they have covered today. Yes, there was going to be some covering in that big run-up. That was probably, I would have to say, mainly FOMO, since there was so much running in the pre-market. You had a lot of FOMO buyers coming in. You had an boatload of day traders coming in because they loved that movement, okay? It was holding above the VWAP, it was crushing it, it was killing it, okay? And that first drop-off was more than likely a day trader drop-off and probably some paper hands getting out because they only got in, a few days ago, okay? So that's probably what you saw there. Not shorts covering, not the mass majority of shorts. Short interest throughout the day only went down about 5%. That's really relatively nothing. They did return about 1.5 million shares, but again, that does not mean those were shares that were shorted in the market. Those could just be borrowed shares. Let's click our buttons, utilization, on loan, and average days. Come on loan. Let's go to the edge. All right, so again, this is the data, same data I gave you guys this morning. We have moved up on days on loan. We're at 18.17 days on loan, and the average number of shares on loan is 25 million. Now, remember, this is just reported data. Only 85% of the exchanges overall report to Ortex, and they only report the data that you want to see. They're not going to report the bad stuff. Or they want you to see. They're not going to report the bad stuff, okay? This doesn't include the dark pool datas and things like that. This is just reported data. Fintel? Let's hit refresh. See if anything changed. All right, so it looks like they're currently in the middle of updating. The days to cover did go down, and you're going to expect for it to come down a little bit after we've had a really good green day. We hit refresh again, see if it's updated. Nothing. All right, so we're at 77% on the short squeeze score, which, again, I don't look into that. I don't care too much. I don't want it to squeeze. I think I make that abundantly clear. I mean, I do. I do want it to squeeze. I don't want it to squeeze today, tomorrow, next week. I don't really want it to. Let's wait. Let's get into mid-fall, closer to wintertime. I could really use a nice Christmas fund. Anyway, so you can see throughout the day, there was some returning, there was some borrowing, more borrowing, slight returning, and that's where we're at as of right now. Short borrow fee rate did come up a little bit. So, I mean, that just shows you that they're not returning shorted shares, they're returning just shares, and it's not being covered yet. I mean, the numbers are showing it's not being covered. Even if they're skewed numbers, they're not being covered. Looks like no data for today as of yet. But we already kind of know what that's going to look like. There's going to be about 60 to 65% short volume ratio, I would say. That's my guess. Short sale transactions, of course, we have nothing yet on this. We did do this on my last video. You know what, just to do it, just so everybody can see it. This is the data from the 27th. $2.75 million shorted. A little over 500,000 shares, 246 transactions. Now remember, this is only transactions over $5,000 or more, okay? All right, so let's go into buyers and sellers. All right, today, nothing major. We had these guys step in. Bridge Builder Small Mid Cap Growth Fund, and of course Vanguard Variable Insurance Fund. So this is a good one. Vanguard, we always like to see them step in, especially when it's a positive position, not a shorting position. Does not mean that these aren't shares that they can't short, but generally when you got a small position like this is a long position for them. They're looking to see something big happen. They're probably anticipating a squeeze as well. Vanguard likes to slip into these meme stocks, especially when they're going parabolic. Sellers. Oh boy, look at that. We got a bunch. Don't worry about it. For one, they're all the same. They're all Vanguard. They're all associated to basically the same exact fund. And they're all in relation to Torchlight. They're just showing the transfer of shares at a 50% return plus some. No, that's the same thing. Okay, so we made it through all of that good stuff. It was pretty boring as far as all of this data goes, right? Today was not a very interesting day. And that's because nothing much really happened. Once we got back to the level we wanted to be at, we moved organically like a stock. The shorts gave up. They couldn't do anything past here. We made stability. And that's what I wanted to say today. Slow and steady wins the race. Don't rush it. Don't hurry. Let these FOMO buyers, these paper hands come in, run the stock up, because we're only going to come down. We're going to retrace so far, and then we're going to keep riding it up. Don't worry about all this crazy price action here. We don't want this. Ultimately, we really, really don't. Not yet. Let's wait when it's time for the torch shares, when they have to cover. By the way, I'm looking for that to be right around the time of the dividend being dispersed, because George said so for one. That's the reason why he gave the dividend a $0 value, not just because of the assets needing to be sold. They could have given something right away. But it is because, and this is my theory, that once the dividend pays out, the short's got to pay it too. That's what I got to say. That caps off the video. Like, subscribe, do what you got to do. Comment below. If you like anything I said today, let me know. If you disagree with anything I had to say today, please let me know. I always like to be educated, so inform me, all right? Like, subscribe. I said all of that. Yeah, peace.